I just wanted to talk about the issues and what I've been doing, or well, just everything I've been doing with the parts to the final artwork. I've started on 2, as you should know by this time in the blog. And I really like how this one's going. I like the pose, it looks really interesting. It's a lot better than, well, the original idea. And when I say original, it really was just placing characters where I felt like they could go. Poses didn't really look very good, aside from the other one. The other one did look better. Well, the first one, which the one of the elf, if I haven't shown that properly in the blog yet, I will show it to you near the end. But what I'm thinking is, the way I'm doing the line art is, it looks nice, but I'm not sure if it will work for a final refined version of the artwork, because it does look a bit different. I've only been doing like thicker lines. I have been doing a bit of shading, cross hatching, but not too much, because I'm thinking of using a smaller brush for that, so that it's basically like I'm actually drawing this and I've used 2 different pens, similar to how I've been doing my massive artwork of Johnny and Gyro, where for the outlines or the main bits I've been using a thick, like a marker, and then for the cross hatching I've been using a thin, like, pen, just a thin paint pen, but so there's like 2 distinct kind of levels of size. So I've duplicated the pen I use so that I can have smaller pens, and then the one I'm normally using, which is a thicker one. As you can see, I'm not sure on these little areas where it gets really thin while I'm doing it. I'm not sure how that'll look, so I'm not certain if this will end up being the final line art of the drawing, or if I would redo it again and use this as a sketch. I'm not too certain on that. I'm really liking how this is looking so far. I'm not very excited to do the straps between his jacket. It's a little bit of a pain. I decided to switch up the way his sword is facing. I had it flipped around so you could see the soul catch a bit. I don't know if I said that or like named that bit in the blog yet. But this end bit of his sword is, well, the soul catcher bit. Not like it needs a name, but that's just what it does. I was also thinking of adding a soul into this, but I'm not too sure because you can only see a bit of it. Also, these little emblems on his, I don't know what you'd call this, it's like a skirt. Not really though. The little emblems are supposed to represent souls, like this. Because the shape of a soul is essentially a bull with a tail. Kind of like a sperm. It's basically what it's shaped after. So they kind of look like this. Or a tadpole is a better way to describe it without being so crude. But it's basically what it is. And these little emblems are just a simplified version of that. Because he is the soul collector. And on his banner, or his flagpole, will be more. Quite like that. Yeah, so I'm not too sure if this will be the final version or if I'll go over it again. Either way, it looks good now, but if I do it again, then the line art will be very easy to do, and I can focus more on looks rather than making sure everything makes sense. Because at the minute when I'm doing it, I am, well, I'm using this is still a loose sketch, because I started like this, which is obviously very loose and very unrefined, and just got the basic ideas of what I wanted. Then I refined it a little bit with this, and I realised I've locked it to a low opacity by accident. That's annoying. So I refined it, and then I've been just refining it a bit more. But if I decide I don't want to use the line art how I've done it right now, I can easily go over it with a thinner brush or a different brush, depending on what I choose to do. I'm thinking of using this one, but I could change that. Depending on what I choose to do, it doesn't matter, because the line art right now does look good, but if I wanted to do more or redo it, then I've already got it refined quite a bit, so it won't be too hard to do that anyway, which is exactly what I want. Sorry if I'm repeating everything. I kind of told myself what to say beforehand. Then when I got into this, I just kind of slipped my mind a little bit. So that's a little annoying. I hope you can hear it properly. But yeah, there are some bits I'm not certain on how it looks. That is what's making me worry about this, but it's not really worrying, because I can just either fix it like how I'm doing now, or just redo it using my other brush, which could look good as well. It depends on the style I'm doing it in. Anyway, also I really like how the sword looks and the split bit in the middle. I don't know if I said this either, but his sword splits into 2 pieces so they can break apart. So that's cool. Anyway, and now onto this one. Oh, that's the sketch. Now this one looks pretty good as well. There are some things I gotta refine a little bit more. Like his foot looks a tad weird. I mean, it's always gonna look weird anyway, considering that it is, well, like that. What's it called again? Prehensile feet. He's got prehensile feet like a monkey. I really like it. I feel most of the people I've asked said it looks kind of weird or really weird. But I fucking hell. Sorry about that. I like it. It looks cool. And yeah, I think this looks really good. Although I do need to change up his eyes, because they've kind of lost the purpose. As you can see, he's kind of lost all semblance of anything in his eyes. Oop. Hang on. So yeah. So I'm gonna have to refine his eyes a little bit more. Also realised I haven't added this little piece of hair that goes down. I don't know what you call that, but yeah, I forgot that. That looks good. Yeah, so I gotta redo that. But everything else is looking pretty good. I also gotta do the quiver, obviously. Tree looks okay. I did stop the root here, because for some reason I was thinking, I don't want it to go over the page. But I do. I think I got that a little backwards because I was a little tired when I was drawing this. I do want it to go over the page, because then it's easier to see that it's connected, but it's also separate in its own way. And it would also make the tree look bigger, because this is based off a rainforest tree, and rainforest trees are already big, but in the elf forest, in my story, it's basically just a gigantic version of a rainforest. Which is also the reason why, instead of how in regular rainforests, where people have a bit of a darker just darker skin, because they have more melanin, because in a regular rainforest they got a lot of sunlight, because in the area of the world that rainforests exist around the equator, they get a lot of sunlight, and the rainforest let in a lot of sunlight, it doesn't block it all out. So the people have to have darker skin to protect against UV, but in a huge version of a rainforest, the top layer of the trees, the canopy layer, will be so thick and dense, and the trees will be so tall that there will be like no sunlight getting through it. It's like very dark in the middle. I mean, as you get out from the middle of the rainforest or the forest, it gets less and less dense. So the people, well, the elves living on the outer edges of the forest will have darker skin than the people living in the middle, because that's just how that works. But it won't be that drastic of a difference. But they aren't also just completely pale, because they do need to have some protection against sun for when they go above the layer or they leave. Yeah, because without sunlight, you get paler skin, so you can absorb more, I think, vitamins. I think that's right. I kind of forgot exactly what it was, but that's the reasoning as to why they have paler skin. Although the more that they live further out, then the darker they'll get. So yeah, that's how that works. So this is gonna be a kind of a tree, but it's not setting the forest. Because I'm doing it so big, I wanted to have parts of the area they have, or something that relates to them, in their piece. So I've put one of the trees in. It doesn't look the biggest because of the roots at the minute. So I'll have to extend them over to the other one. So that will be good to go. So I'm liking how it looks at the minute. I do have to change up some things. So I'll have the roots continue into the background here. And then I'll also have the back here that connects. Because there'll be stuff and it'll connect into the other one. Similar to the Raki's artwork or the exhibition he did for the Ripples of Adventure, which is, I think it's called There's Always a Traitor. It's really big and there's a bunch of them. I think 12. I think it's 16, but not 12. It's 12. 12 of them all lined up together, and they have a background. Just a not too complicated background, and it just connects them all up, and it looks rather nice. So that's what my reference is. That's what I'm liking. Yeah, so that's how it goes. That's how it's going. And yeah, I don't think there's anything else to mention. If there is, I'll just have it in the blog. And yeah, I've got to do some more on this. Although I might continue into the next one. I haven't stacked them all up yet. Oh yes, I've also started doing this for the SEP gallery, but I'll talk about that later. So as you can see, next one will be these two. Although I might separate them a little bit more. Who knows? I'll probably maybe, I don't know. It depends. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Yeah. So I might do this one instead of doing it all. So what I've done so far is I've done two almost. Like they've done the line art, but I haven't done it fully. That's basically what I'm doing. Anyway, I'll stop yapping, and that's it.